So the first one is Six Demon Bag.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
All right.
I'm winging this one. Six Demon Bag is all winging, baby.
Yeah, I should be able to contribute some interesting thoughts. Not. Hold on.
I'm gonna give in some mantras. I'm gonna ping this here. Ping some mantras and visualizations in your conversation. You know, when you're thinking of stuff, you can be like, "What about mantras? Can mantras do anything?" And I'll just say some stupid shit like, and then,
All right.
you know, okay.
Ready?
Welcome to your mama's house.
Welcome to Expedient Means with Lin Wei on Tomahawk Radio. Lin currently resides in China and is the founder and head teacher of Guaijin Philocultural Society. He has extensive experience in Buddhist and Taoist meditation, Qigong, martial arts, and traditional Chinese medicine. To learn more about Lin, please visit his website at www.guizhenhui.net. Tonight, Lin will be discussing the Six Demon Bag.
Hey, what more can a guy ask for?
Oh, the Six Demon Bag.
Terrific. A six-demon bag. Sensational. What's in it, Egg?
Wind, fire, all that kind of thing.
So, Six Demon Bag, we kind of picked that as a playful title today. Do you want to explain what we're talking about?
The Six Demon Bag. Well, it's it's very intense. It's very special, and it's a secret, really. A secret.
1,000 years ago.
A secret from thousands of years ago.
Are you sure you want to give away this secret knowledge?
I think.
It's my destiny.
There you go.
Do you want to tell
We're having a lot of fun with this, actually. Before people get totally irritated by our stalling, we called it the Six Demon Bags because it deals with this topic today deals with hexes, spells, evil intentions, evil mantras, things that people do, people who are in like the black, we'll call it the dark arts, the black arts, just using the mind for evil things instead of positive things. Basically how to counter those effects, how to stop those things from happening. Now, we're not going to get into actual ghosts unless the conversation goes into, well, what if they bring ghosts? Or what if they?
Funny. It's funny you said that because the first thing that popped in my mind as you were talking was the ghost baby that a lot of the people in Thailand and Malaysia and that use. I don't know if you ever heard of that. I can't remember the name of it. It's got a strange sounding name, but Guminthong or something like that.
That sounds like a clothesline, a clothing line. Do you think?
But essentially,
I'm kidding. I don't know.
Essentially, the story behind it is the practice apparently developed by this guy whose wife was pregnant, and she died or something. So he took her body with the baby still in it, roasted in a fire, took all the fat out of her body, and created this spiritual baby thing. And apparently
Jeez.
they put these on altars and they actually feed them like milk and I think maybe even blood in some cases. And apparently this spiritual baby, they call it, is supposed to perform tasks for them and stuff and bring them luck.
This is done in Taiwan?
Thailand, well, perhaps Taiwan, but I know it's done in Thailand and I know it's done in Malaysia.
Really?
And apparently, like, this is really bad. I don't know if you want to talk about it, but
Kuomintang.
Kuomintang, that's it. Yeah, and some people pay up to millions of dollars for these things. Anyway,
Wow.
it doesn't really sound like a very wholesome practice to me.
Okay, I wouldn't consider doing something like that. It just gets messy, not just with body parts and stuff like that, but the karma, you're not getting the spirit of that child. You're getting some other spirit that's going to come to you. And even if, really, there's so much other wholesome practices to do. If you want to just have a spirit do stuff for you, really, hold up good merit and virtue, practice the proper way, and perhaps try to find a way to cultivate the 42 hands and eyes, and maybe you can start doing good things with good spirits to do good things for other people and other spirits. Come on. You don't have to go burning people's bodies.
Well, people don't want to put the work. People don't want to put the work in to do the proper practices, right?
Well, there you go. So the shortcut is really a long cut.
Yeah.
man, the creativity of people is just amazing to me. You know,
It's
it's like
insane.
instead of wanting to actually sit there and meditate and do something wholesome, you know, sit there and burn your body to control a spirit. You know, why would you do that? Because it's just like it. You know, this is Demon Bag's conversation we're gonna have today is just gonna become very, very straight up. It's just very demonic, that kind of thing, man. You don't want to do that.
I
I
would
mean, it's
think,
one.
well, anything like that, any of those practices that are just kind of satiating the ego or they're doing something against someone else's free will, I mean, I would interpret as being unwholesome.
Look, if a spirit wants to work with you to do things for you, it's because you either have good merit and virtue, and they are amazed at that, and they want to uplift that and encourage that, so they actually want to be around you and do things for you because you're worthy of their respect. You're worthy of respect. Okay. On the flip side, maybe a spirit would want to do something like that for you so they can have conditions with you so they can end up controlling you later on in the future, which we'll get into that with the 50 Skanda Demon States commentaries in the beginning of next year.
So how do people like deal with it if they feel like their will's being interfered with by some type of magic or, you know, hex or what have you?
You know, what's funny is that most people don't even realize that it happens to them every single day. A lot of people, I mean, our planet is filled with so many amounts of people, so much people. Excuse me.
Even just turning on the radio half the time is
You read my mind. You totally read my mind, man.
Yeah, I'm not going to give out that secret practice. Unless people want to pay me $500.
That's great.
Yeah.
I'm having fun with this today. It's a very serious topic, though. But you gotta find some humor in things. You know, you don't take things too seriously and throw it on your shoulder like the world's gonna cave in on you. You turn on the radio, you turn on the TV. Okay, even if you're not turning on the radio and you're putting on your CD player or your iPod or whatever technological device we use to listen to music, watching a movie or whatever the case is, we are being influenced by the emotions in those things, the sounds in those things, and the vibration of those things. Okay, especially since we're watching it. Okay, we're also being influenced by the situations that are happening, like the placement of people, the placement of objects, the pictures we see. These things, don't call them subliminal. It's very straight up. It's only subliminal because you have no clue what the hell's happening to you, and you're sitting there going, "Oh, this is such a great movie," right? And then it just bang. You start having influences about this. You get influenced by this movie over time. It's not that people are going to start acting like people in the movie, which some do, but they start creating notions of the world like that, and they don't really know the origin of where those thoughts are coming from. They just think it's no big deal. They watch a movie, there's no effect, it's fake, it's not real.
Have you
But no,
noticed? Have you noticed curiously how some of the videos now almost look like occult rituals? Like
yeah,
it's just crazy. I can't believe some of this stuff is so in your face.
it is, and that's a good thing. Well, not a good thing, but I mean, it's a good thing for those beings who are doing it because it's like straight up in the face of everybody who's going to believe it. It's too obvious. You know, wouldn't it be secretive? You know, why would someone want to throw it right out there and people, you know? I,
Your sorry, your Skype's breaking up a little bit there, Lynn.
you know, because it's this topic. The 6 demon bags, I told everyone it's a secret thing. People don't want these things happening, this kind of information being let out in the world.
Could be, or it
I'm
could
kidding.
Just be, or it could just be Skype acting up.
It could just be Skype acting up.
One of the things, the other things I want to bring up, if you look in the West now, and probably not just in the West, but all over, various occult practices seem to be coming to the forefront, like, you know, casting spells and a lot of these things. People just think it's harmless, right? But if you look throughout history, a lot of cultures really didn't take too kindly to some of these practices to the point where, you know, they would basically burn people at the stake. And I'm by no means saying that that's a good thing or the right thing to do, but I think the rationale behind it was that these practices have such a potential to be used for evil. I think they just didn't want anything to do with them in their society, or they didn't want them in their society at all.
Well, on one hand, yes. On the other hand, it's due to ignorance too. I mean, the people then just really. I mean, there's capacities of the levels of capacity. The how do I say this in English correctly? The mental capacity of people throughout generations has its ups and downs. That was a big
Yeah,
downer.
yeah.
Okay, so like, even someone doing herbal remedies to heal someone's sickness, they considered it to be a form of black magic, a witchcraft. They just labeled it all and they put it all in one basket,
Yeah.
and they attacked you if you did anything with fruits and vegetables or just leaves and stems and roots. And they considered that to be evil, the work of demons and the devil and stuff like that. So no matter what, you were just going to be burned anyway, and that's very ignorant. At least now there is some ability for critical thinking, but we even though we've come a long way, we still haven't gotten to the long way. We haven't gotten through the long journey. There's still a lot of things happening in this world that critical thinking could be used very well, but it's not there yet. You know?
So I had a question for you.
Yeah.
Why is it that in so many, I can probably guess the answer, but just want to hear your opinion. Why is it in so many of these occult practices or spells, when they want to hex someone or make someone fall in love with them, why do they always want a piece of hair or a drop of blood or nail clipping or something like that?
Because it holds the energy of the body of the person. It holds the energy that the body is radiating out. So it's like I tell my wife the same thing. I said, regardless of what I can do for you to protect you in these types of instances, make sure you don't leave your hair anywhere. And it's really difficult. So, whenever we go somewhere, it's not like you're sitting there freaking out and very nervous and whatnot. But you kind of get the idea that you don't want to leave any particles of yourself, but the skin particles, skin always sheds off of you anyway. So the hair, skin, nails, saliva, blood, all that carries a vibration. Okay, so people can utilize that when they want to hone in their intention to do something to you. You know, that's
Hmm.
why they want to use these parts of the bodies.
Yeah, I know. Like,
When it, mm,
well, I was just gonna say, like, I know during the medieval times that was a big thing to do, right? To make men fall in love with them, they'd take their hair. Or actually, one of the other things I heard is, and this is kind of pretty crude, but I'm gonna say it, was they'd put their menstrual blood or put their fluids into like wine that somebody was gonna drink, and apparently that also would bring your vibration into them or cause them to harmonize with you.
you can, yeah, because your energy in your mind is not separate. Okay, so what happens is when someone takes it in, though we'll say, well, science says the digestive system washes it out. The physical construct, sure, and a lot of things get taken into the body, absorbed in the body, but the energy gets mixed into the body and mixed into the energy of that other person. So when, let's say, when someone does this ritual or does this thing and thinks about the person who had drank the liquid, okay, and wants to try to have some type of a deeper, we'll call it a psychic connection. We'll just use this word just for the sake of that idea. Um, when they want to have this kind of psychic connection and affect them in intention wise or mentally and with control or whatever the hell it is, emotions or whatnot, it's easier. That's all. It's just easier to do. I mean, some people do this without any parts of the person's belongings. They do it by thinking of a person so intensely, so strongly that the other person can feel what's happening.
What about practices like in China? I know there's I don't know if you bring it
I
up.
just got to do this. I got to do this now. Hold on.
All right. What is it? Chinese black magic?
Yeah.
Chinese.
I'm
For
kidding,
those,
everyone.
for
I'm
those
just
who don't
having a
know,
joke here.
that's from Big Trouble in Little China. Lynn's got the soundboard, and he likes to torment me with these soundboards before her shows. Um, Geez, you totally made me lose track of what I was going to say now. Oh, I know what I was going to say. Another thing I've heard about is that in China there's a practice called Shenggong, and there's different versions of this practices, and in some of these versions, people channel spirits and whatnot, and channel even demonic entities. What are your thoughts on that, and how do you know if you're doing it in a wholesome way versus non-wholesome way?
Well, wow. Good Good question. Shenggong would generally be translated to, well, you want to translate it specifically straight to the word, and it's a spiritual practice. Spiritual, you just said spiritual practice, Shen, spirit practice, or Shen could also be like God, practice of God or God practice. Now, it just basically means most practices that do this, or most people who do this, not most, I'm not going to coin everyone together, but a lot of the practices containing this term, Shenggong, would be of possession, which means you are giving up your will to a degree for another conscious state or another consciousness to come into the body to control the mind, offering special skills, special abilities, special powers for a specific amount of time, and then they would leave the body and you would go along with your day regularly. Um, that would be an easy door to what we'll call 魔道. 走火入魔 is just going the fiery way, going
Run,
the
fire,
fiery
enter
way.
devil.
Yeah. Going into the fire and letting in the demons in. So I mean, it just lets you walk the demonic path. Eventually, it screws around with your energy, your health, your mind. It causes loads of problems. The other method of it, which is one of the methods I teach, is actual spiritual cultivation, meaning you are cultivating for an undiscriminate mind, you are cultivating for health and wellness without any demonic possession or spiritual possession, but more of a spiritual influence, meaning because you're guarding yourself with certain practices that I put into this, you're guarding your mind against evil or negative types of influences. You will only get influences from what I would say very, very straight up wise beings, beings who have nothing but compassion and do not want anything from you in return except for you to eventually awaken and become enlightened yourself. And
I
it's
would
not
think,
non-possession whatsoever, and has nothing to do with gaining skills, powers, abilities, or any types of special things people assume one should have when they cultivate.
yeah, I was gonna say, I would think if maybe this is a generality, but if it seems a little too easy or a little too good to be true, or something feels off about it, you're probably kind of straying from the path a bit.
That's how it always begins.
Yeah. Whenever you get a little bit of a strange feeling about something, stop, investigate it, find out what's going on. I mean, when it comes down to these types of spirit possessions, channeling, or whatnot, you want to be very careful. Make sure you know your mind. Make sure you're very clear on your mind. That means you don't want to just willingly give yourself to anything and anyone because they say they have something that's good for you. It's like, here, child, I have some candy for you. Won't you come with me? You know, it's kind of that kind of thing. But in cultivation world, or the world of this type of, we'll call it just for the sake of saying so and lack of my vocabulary, magical world. Anyone offering you a quick fix, anything without you having to do hard work, is lying to you. If someone comes along in your meditation and says, I got this pill for you to take it. You'll gain great powers. You'll see what I see. You'll know what I know. And you do it, well, welcome to the rest of your life under control. That's just where it ends up leaving you.
What about the practice? And I don't know how prevalent this is in China or in Asia as opposed to here, but what about actually trying to conjure, summon, or manifest demonic beings or ghosts or anything like that? Does that practice still occur?
I'm sure it does. It's not talked about openly in the world out here. It's pretty much very closed doors. Means people don't talk about these things in the streets or amongst friends unless they're in that small little group. You know, so. But these types of practices are done, if not in specific places, in various other places. They're done because the information is out there, or it's either been a myth or a story or whatever the case is at some point in time. But people can make any method they want to make. As long as their intentions are strong enough, they can make anything be a spell or be a conjuring spell. That's how, what's the word, not fixed this kind of thing is. That's why it's very dangerous.
I've got a book written by a Western occultist, and one of the things, well, he talks a lot about evocation, right? And one of the things he said is that when he tries to call these spirits, or when people do call these spirits, they sort of manifest themselves in an angry or fierce manner, as if they're pissed off about it. But um, he had imprisoned one of these beings and interrogated it, and in actuality, that's just for show. They actually like it when people call them. What are your thoughts on that?
Uh, when I was younger, trying to mess around with this kind of stuff, because I was, becoming aware of these methods, um, not one said that they enjoyed being, called on like they are some waiter. They basically would make problems here and there. Then I would have to do the dirty work of trying to get them back to where they should have been. you know, One, we have to ask, why would one want to imprison a spirit and ask them questions? Well, because they don't have the ability to find out on their own. They think it's more superior to have a method to pull something against their will to be in front of them to answer whatever questions they think. So that's a problem with the ego right there. That's already the wrong path. If anyone wants to know about the spirit world, very simple. Go and meditate. If you can't develop the ability to see or hear or realize, then that's it. You just can't get the ability this time around. Your cultivation isn't good enough. Don't go trying to do any other method.
I would assume if you're conjuring some type of demonic entity, that he would probably want to take this opportunity, like take the opportunity, since you've called him and disturbed him. He's going to take the opportunity to try and screw you over.
Pretty much. I mean, they don't have, if they're not for the benefit of you, well, obviously they're going to be to the detriment. They're going to be to the death of you. They would just don't care about whatever goes on in your life, ruin your whole entire life. Means whatever you had a good job, you won't have a good job anymore. You had good friends, your friends will all leave you. You had good environment of friends and people around you, it starts to turn sour. You may get trouble with the law. You may get trouble with a lot of things out there. And that's not good. They want something in return. They may make your life very good and very happy in the beginning, and then when it's time to pay back what's on the contract, you're done for.
It's funny you say that, because one of the things he mentioned in this book was that any time he'd ever done a failed experiment, for whatever reason, he didn't understand why, but some relationship in his life would be destroyed, like he'd get in a fight with his parents, or get in a fight with his wife, or whatever, right? Like some energy would cause a relationship to fail.
Yes. It definitely just does work like that. It just definitely does work like that. When things aren't the right way, if your mind isn't right, or if there's a step in the practice you did wrong, or you're just not taking extra caution on certain areas, depending on the method you're doing, it's an open door to ruin everything for you, and you'll have crazy arguments here and there. You'll have disruptions in your life path, exactly what we were just saying before. So it does work that way. I mean, it's so easy to do to a human. I mean, people think they're human. They're unbelievably great and powerful. No. If you were so great and powerful, don't get sick. Don't age. Don't get hungry. I mean, people can't even stop their own hunger. They think, oh, I eat, so I get full and I'm not hungry anymore. Yeah, for a few hours. Stop satisfaction. Stop the idea that satisfaction is the ending of the need for something.
So what causes like hauntings and places to carry negative energy and such?
Oh, geez, this can go for a while because there's such combinations of things. It's very trivial too. There's many combinations of things that can cause a place to become haunted. I mean, an area can be haunted for like a person may have killed themselves somewhere around there, and in their dying moments, when they're ready to literally be done with their world, not just okay, I'm going to kill myself so that they're done. No, when they're actually gasping for their last breath, even if they were enjoying or even looking forward to it, whatever they were thinking, whatever state of mind they were in at that deed, that will be their attachment, their locking point. That means they will be stuck in that mind state until that wanes, till that loses its power, and then they'll probably move to the next, or probably turn into deeper or more of an evil spirit. So whatever the case is, someone dies in an area, wherever their mind was at that time, however their mind was at their time or their emotional state, is exactly going to cause them to stay, may exactly cause them to stay in that area. And they would be roaming around the area as though whatever their world was before is exactly the same way now. So they'll see people, new cars, new buildings, whatever the case is, and they will see it as a way. They will see it as they're the same in emotional conditions happening again. Even though things on the face value, the face change, the superficiality of things change, the shapes of things change, but they would still have the emotional attachment to them being the same. They will always find a way to make sense to the way things were before, hence you'll have a haunting of certain things. I mean, it gets very deep. It's so much different types of ways it can happen. I'm just giving you one idea. It could be billions of them.
Yeah, that actually brought to mind. There's a Chinese god or ancestor spirit that I know some people in Taiwan worship called Zongquei.
Zhonghui, yeah.
I think the story with him is he somehow got cheated out of his exams for the cabinet position or something in one of the dynasties, so he bashed his skull against the gates until he died. And, this is a story I read anyway, and apparently he's known as a demon slayer or a spirit that can control demons. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the story to him. And then let's see, he banged his head against the gate until his head broke or something like that, and he died. Something about him, the king of hell or something saw him, thought he was really great or really smart or something, and make him be the king of ghosts or something like that, and he had to capture or subdue other ghosts or make them listen to the right way, whatever the case is, you know.
Almost when I think of that story, and we're kind of segueing here, but it almost could be metaphorical, you know, banging your head against the gates until you died.
It could have been that,
or not.
I don't know. We can make it where it could be metaphorical to cultivating, and you know, you kind of trying to get rid of all this intellectuality until he awakened, and all of a sudden he seen the spirit world and decided he wants to handle the spirit world. It could be that way, yeah. Depending. I mean, we don't know Zhonghui. We got to find him and ask him.
I'll leave it at that, and I don't want to go too far down that road. So
well. Here you brought up hauntings, and don't just think of hauntings. Let's make sure everyone doesn't think of hauntings as just a house. A person can be haunted. That means possessed or means influenced. Now, another not good, but another idea of being possessed or influenced would be suicide. Generally, we'll call it "quote unquote" the right mind, means one of not hurting others or oneself. Being in that state, okay? When one is not in that state, and they want to put pain on themselves, inflict danger and suicide, that is not their right mind, 100%. And people will say, "Oh, it's a psychological disorder and whatnot." Well, that's the superficial case, actually. I'm not going to say in truth, but I want to say that. But I don't want people to believe every word I say. I want people to investigate on their own. But what I will say is, from what I've seen, heard, and heard around me from whatever the case is, non-humans, it is influence of other depression ghosts or other types of depression spirits and demons who are influencing the person to believe that the world is useless, or they are useless, and and nothing is good for them. They can't get anywhere. Everything is just falling apart, and to cut their strings of their attachments to what they had and just get it over with. Why? Because the more someone locks into the state of this type of depression, this type of sadness, this hopelessness, this despair, it's easier to keep influencing them to become part of the group of ghosts and demons and evil spirits and whatever the case is. And it takes a long time.
Well, I was just going to say, what's the first thing we always hear when somebody does one of these rampages or has an episode, right? Well, I was hearing voices. Voices told me to do it, like
Pretty
almost every
much.
time, right?
Yeah, almost every time. And whenever I hear that kind of story, I believe it 100% from my own experiences. Okay, my own personal experiences as well as experiences I've heard from other people and what I've seen and what I've heard with my ears when there was nobody around, no person around. Well, I'll just put it that way: hearing with the ears, seeing with the eyes. I'm just putting it in a very superficial expression because I don't want to go so deep into the ear sense and the eye sense right now. But
Oh,
when I was younger, and I've had states where I had gone through the feelings of suicidal thoughts. Thankfully, I didn't follow them, and thankfully, I knew better then. I was just curious. And when I felt sad one time, I mean, very deeply sad in my teens, I started feeling this very subtle pressure, kind of just like making me want to stay depressed, make me want to keep empowering depression. And I would contemplate that I would sit in meditation or I would lie down in meditation and contemplate that state. And I would just hear these massive thoughts of, it's okay. Look, don't worry, man. If you just do it, you'll be fine. No, who cares? I mean, really, all these types of ways to rationalize killing yourself, and I just let the floodgates open, and I just let all of that feeling come into. I became so not attached to it, just emotionally down by it, and not that I was ready to do it, but that it came to a point where I let it in so strongly that it almost became the whole entire world view, that it was just pointless to continue. And in doing so, I used to say this one line that my sister, my first teacher taught me, my second sister. Let's see if I remember this now. I haven't had to say it in like over 15 years, but it was it goes something like this: these are not my thoughts. These thoughts are not welcomed. Um, Something to that effect. And it was just like, this is not God's way. It doesn't matter if it was Jesus, or if it was God, or if it was Allah, or if it was any other type of um, being that people worship. It's just not God's way. It's just like, this is not God's way. These thoughts are not mine. These thoughts are not mine. Please leave. And when I said that, the influence became weaker, and I noticed the influence being weaker. I mean, I was doing cultivation since 8 years old, so I had a little bit of a stronger feeling sensitivity to these things. And eventually, it dissipated. Eventually means I said it over a few times and contemplated what I said and recited it in my mind, where my whole emotional state uplifted, and that whole darkness was just gone. And all I can hear is, we didn't get him. We didn't get him. You know?
it's that wow. That's funny because the whole time as soon as you started saying that, it went distorted, and then as soon as you said we didn't get him at the end, you came through crystal clear.
Wow. You see, I mean, my sister always told me whenever we had conversations like this, exactly what we're talking about in the Six Demon Bags episode, our telephone connection, and we were on landlines, would be so chaotically like crappy. It would go all the time, or be like we wouldn't hear each other. The volume would dim out. And then she would like, let's talk about something else, and we'll talk about, let's go out to dinner tonight. We'll meet up at the diner, and we have crystal clear conversation. But once we get right into conversing about this type of topic, it started to slow down again. The connection would be very terrible. I'm not surprised at hearing this.
Well,
You
some
know,
people just chalk it up to coincidence or whatever, but
it could be
teach
whatever it is.
teach their own,
Teach his
right?
own. Exactly.
So, are there any, I don't, like with as far as magical practices, I mean, and manifesting and all these things, you don't want to throw everything into one bag and say it's good or bad. So, are there types of spell casting that are good, or I guess it's probably all in the intention or in the mind of the
It's all in
practitioner?
the exactly that. It's all the intention and in the mind. Basically, if the person has evil intentions and wishes it to be on somebody else, the other person may get influenced, whether they know or not. They may get influenced. Depends on how strong the other person's focusing. Okay, but it returns to you. It just returns to you this kind of energy.
Okay.
Um, it's really not fun. Let's put it this way. Excuse me. Sorry, coughing now. I realized my little congestion the last few days, the air quality in my city is just garbage. So everyone's getting a little irritation. Anyway, um, when someone does, like, let's say, wishes evil on you, spells, okay, they want revenge, or they want money, or they want to control you. Okay, I'm not going to lay out the ways people can do it because that's just stupid for me to do. you know, but how you can tell that something is not you? Well, you have to, you really have to be aware of your own mind. You really have to understand what are your emotions, what are your feelings, the feelings that are common for you. That's what I mean. What are your common thoughts? What are your common feelings and emotions? Your common lifestyle. Okay, you have to know this. If you don't, then you're not going to know if you're getting influenced of anything. So just understand that. Okay. Now the next step, you're getting influenced with some type of negativity. You're getting influenced with some type of feeling, whether it's to love somebody. And just because it's a loving feeling doesn't mean it's good for you. Okay, you don't assume that just because you feel love and happy and all this, great marshmallowy fluffiness, that it's going to be good for you. No, sorry. Emotions, you know, negative emotions hurt you. Positive emotions don't hurt you, but they don't do anything good for you except leave you in the moment of feeling, happy. Which you think, oh, happiness should be fine. Sure, if you like the seesaw of the flow, okay, you could be on the seesaw of everything and be totally fine with that, and that's your thing. But that's really, there's more to it than just being okay with the flow of things. um, when you feel these things happening to you, there are many ways to stop it. I'm not going to say throw salt around your room or run around the house burning white sage, chanting something, or carrying a cross on you, or any talismans or symbols or whatever. No, none of that. Don't do any of that. Why? Because you need to really know what you're doing with those things, and if you don't have cultivation for it, it's useless. Some things work good against spirits and ghosts, some things don't. So I'm not going to get into what works and what doesn't. Um, but what I'm going to say is a mantra for everybody. Okay, they can use on their food. They can use on their water. They can use in their house. They can tape it up. They can write it on a sticky note and tape it behind their front door. They can put it anywhere in the house. They can write as many as they want and tape them on any portion of the walls and do a certain visualization I'm going to teach you all to do or explain on how to do. Okay, it's in Chinese pinyin. Sorry, but that's just the way I've learned it. It is of the 5 hearts of the Shurangama mantra. Okay. I'm not going to explain what they are because the mystery of it is just the beauty of it. If you know what it is, that's okay too. If you don't know what it is, that's even okay as well. Um, I'll spell it out first, and you can say it in any way you want. It doesn't. It's not going to hurt the recitation. It's not going to hurt the effect. Your intention is what's important. 5 hearts Shurangama of the Shurangama mantra. CHI. You know what? Let me write it first before I sit there stuttering. Okay. I'll say it now. 吃20 加啦米里珠玻璃丹啦也凝结里. Okay, now you can sit there and go, oh my god, that's so much. But actually, it's not. I'll just spell it for everybody now. CHITIALAMILIZHUBO LIDANLAYEN like Nancy, INGJIELI. Okay. Now part of that was a 320 Ejala. When I said Ejala, you can write the Ejala, the part, as an A, or you can put it as an E and still recite it as a. So that's why I just left it as an A, because it just sounds like Okay, so we'll just leave it that way. Now this is go ahead.
So what does it mean?
It's the 5 heart mantra of the 5 hearts of the Shurangama mantra, and it's the name of 5 different Buddhas. And I will not reveal the name. If anyone wants to know, they can research on their own and do the visualizations of the images they find of what these names mean or what these names are too. Okay, what it does, one of its functions. If I were to try to explain this each and every single function now, we would never be done with it. Seriously, it would not be done. So, one of them would be for removing all types of negativity, all types of negative energies in your food, in your water, in your house, in your mind. Okay? So anyone can call it a purification. Anyone can call it a freeing of, your will. You call it a clearing any problems in the food, any poison food. Now, you want to go, if people want to go scientific, how the hell is a word going to make a food pure? Well, the vibration, the meanings of the word, the vibration it carries, these alter the vibrational energies of everything around us. They alter whatever it is in the water, whatever it is in the food you're eating. So say you buy food from a certain place and somebody is, you're eating it and you start to feel sick and you start feeling not comfortable, but you keep eating there because you don't put it to the food. Then all of a sudden you're like, well, I've been eating here for a few days. This is not too good. So what can I do? And then you're like, oh yeah, we can recite the 5 hearts mantra over the food. So what you do, you get the food before you eat it, you recite it 3 times, then you blow on the food 3 times, and you chow down, and you start feeling less and less sick, less and less tired. You start feeling more bright in your mind, and the person who sells you the food just doesn't like you anymore. Maybe they don't know, but maybe the influence around that person is causing them to, is the influence around that person is causing their energy to influence the food.
Will it take
Okay,
the
you don't know.
GMO to GMO corn?
There's another mantra for GMOs. I'm kidding. There's a mantra, part of the Surangama mantra, which is an extremely long mantra, the longest mantra in our universe. It can remove poisons in liquids, in foods. It can take away a lot of poisons out of things. So if you're thinking GMOs, if you're thinking arsenic, you're thinking all this stuff, if you are a cultivator and you're cultivating the Shurangama mantra and you're cultivating according to the rules of the practice, which I will not state now because we'll be here for a while. It's not many rules, but you need to understand why they are the way they are. And you're cultivating accordingly, you will have efficacious results. But if you just half-ass about all cultivation, you're like, oh, I remember the mantra, yeah, whatever, and you're doing whatever the hell you want to do, don't expect a great, wonderful response, but you'll probably get some response. I've had people poison me many, many times before, whether it was with just straight up food that they know I could not eat or should not eat, not because of allergic reaction, it's because the imbalance energetically I had with my organ systems for a long time from extreme stress and worry, overtaxed my body. So when I ate certain foods, I had a very bad reaction. And some people would keep those foods in there or just put very little. And over time, I would start getting problems again and try to figure out what the hell's going on. Sometimes I would have problems, but then I would recognize what it is. Sometimes it wouldn't work, and they would have to put a lot more. And maybe then I was just being too lazy with my practice, and I wasn't practicing as much as I should or applying as much focus as I should have because I had a lot of other things going on. I didn't pay attention too much. So I would get a little sick, and then I would remember, and then I would go right for the right practice, and then all of a sudden my sickness is gone. And the person would be angry with me, and they knew what they were doing. Some people have tried to do a lot of crazy things to me. So that's my own personal experiences. Take it with a grain of salt. What may be true for me is not true for other people. So remember, this is just an observation and a discussion on what is with this world on this specific topic. Okay?
I've got a question.
Yes.
For you. I'm just going to reach into the demon bag here and keep pulling random things out and say, what's this?
Please do so.
In Taoist practices, some of the Taoist exorcists use a peachwood sword to exorcise spirits. Why is that? Why is it a peachwood and why is it a sword?
Because peach is so expensive that making the sword makes people... No, I'm kidding. Excuse me. Because peach has a quality of, what's the word? Purifying the blood. So if you're keeping a purity of the blood around, if you're purifying blood, I mean, or if it has a quality of purification, then it's a good tool for exorcism. It's a good tool to purify the space around you. There you go.
That's it. I was waiting for more. I was waiting for the peachwood trees are imbued with the spirits of the immortals who manifest, vibrations that plus spirits.
No, it's just a purifying thing. It pures. It's a
Come on,
purifier.
can you lie to us then? Tell us something exciting.
Uh,
And sorcery.
okay, there you go. It's just a purification. The peach is a blood purifier. So when you make a peach wood anything, it's kind of like stamping the purity in the whole entire space around you. If you have cultivation to utilize it, yes, it's good.
Okay, what about another thing that people see quite frequently in the movies, or I guess if you live in Asia, you'd probably see it all over the place, to be the amulets that the Taoists create, where they take the stampers and then they do the writing on it and have the special ink and all that.
Oh, right.
People will talk a
They
little bit
write up
about this.
they write a talisman on a piece of paper.
Like
A
a foo, they call it, yeah.
Full, and they stamp it on a wall, or they slap it on someone's head,
Or burn it and
or
mix it in water.
burn it, mix it in water, and then put it in their mouth and then spit it out on something. Some create a talisman where they have a cloth bag and throw a few ingredients in there, and well, basically what it's doing is what the cultivator would be doing when they're making these things, is using their intent, their deep, strong concentration on what they're doing with a specific intent. And because they are cultivators, they should have some type of cultivation, some type of energy or chi. We'll just call this chi, just for the sake of saying so. My lack of nomenclature, and they are charging it up. We'll call it, putting their intention, their energy into this object. And because they should have some high cultivation, in order to make such an object, you need some high cultivation and strong mind for it. It would have an influence on the space around them or wherever they're placing this thing.
So, how does someone, like, and maybe you don't even want to get into this, but how would someone know if the person they're dealing with is legitimate? Like, I could just go in my basement and write up something, call it a foo, and sell it for $20, right?
It's at this point it becomes power suggestion. If I write up a word and nobody has any clue what the word is, and I tell them this means you will always have great abundance of friends around you, good friends, helpful friends, and they carry it in their pocket all the time, they will actually have the intention that they will have good friends and see everyone as being nice to them and see the good in other people. Though it's a power suggestion at that point, it's still a nice thing that they have in their mind, but at that point it's power suggestion. If it could be power suggestion, maybe it's just the way it is. Now, I make something, let's say I make something, or somebody makes something and gives it to another person and just says, here, carry this, it may be useful, and they have no clue what the hell it is, but things just start to be happy in their lives, or things start to be very auspicious or go very well. It's just that their mind is not discriminating on what should be or what is happening, but the thing they're carrying influences their energetic body, and thus when their energy feels a little bit higher or happier, their mind begins to react that way, or their whole entire view of the world starts to change because of that energetic influence.
All right, reaching back into the demon bag again here. So I've often heard it spoken that weapons almost have a spirit of their own. Like in Indonesia, they have a sword or knife known as a keris, which are well reputed to have almost like their own ego, their own consciousness.
Right.
What the hell is going on there? Are they basically summoning a spirit and trapping it into the item, or is what is it?
They can many things. One, we'll speak on two or three things, maybe two. One, they can be bringing a spirit to go into the keris or go into this object or go into any object, and it can react in whichever way the cultivator is asking for it to react. Meaning, like, if you are here, if you are in this thing, give us a sign, move this way, move that way, and it will do so. You're going to just want to be careful if anyone plans on doing this with a sword or a knife or something. Be careful because it just may fly at you and stab you. Not funny, but I mean, it's kind of slapstick comedy for me, but, it's not good. Don't do that, please. I'll give you my experience. I used to carry a sword on my back for years. And this sword came to me in a dream once. Let me see if I remember the story now. I had wanted a sword, and I didn't want any sword that you can buy, for $20 anywhere. But I wanted a sword, and I wanted to have it to practice the sword forms with. And I had a dream that someone, no face, just his voice, told me, wake up, go on eBay, and type in this specific name. So I typed in this specific name, and this sword popped up. Basically, it said, type in this specific name, and you will see your sword. So I instantly, I woke up, and it says, go online. This voice was still in my head. It says, go online, go on eBay. Okay. So I go on eBay, and I type in what it says to type in, and I find this sword. And you had to bid on it. You couldn't buy it. So I bid, and I waited a month, and then the bidding, no one bid on it, so I won, which is pretty cool. Actually, no, it said don't bid, wait a month, and then place one bid and it'll be yours. And I did so, and then I got the sword. When I received the sword and I cleaned off all the tape that was wrapped around it, I cleaned everything off, whatever the case was, it was like as though I hit a different state. When I had the sword in my hand, I felt the vibration from the sword into my body and to the mind, and it said, light up incense over it. So I did so. In front of my altar, I just lit up incense over it, kept it in front, and it said, this is what you do. Just bow with the sword 3 times. So I bowed, and then all of a sudden it felt like I hit a different state, a different realm, and I saw that some being out of the sword popped up and said, this is your sword. This is a story for me. This is your sword. It's going to be entrusted to you. I am with this sword, so we will together learn this sword and learn what I have to show you. I said, okay, great. And then I carried the sword everywhere I went. When I encountered evil or negative energies or entities, before I would see them with my eyes, the sword would vibrate on my back. And I didn't put those two together. But one time I walked into a cafeteria where there seemed to have been 40, 50 people. And it was a very large cafeteria, so you can get an overview of about how many people are in there. Some were online, some were eating. So I go and I get online and I get my food and I sit down. When I sit down to start eating, the sword starts shaking. And I had thought I saw someone walk behind me. So I looked to my left and I thought someone had kicked the sword, but no one was there. And when I went to turn to my right, almost everyone except for about 6 or 7 people had disappeared. Like, for the moment I sat down, the place was bustling. You heard voices, you heard people, you seen people. But when I sat down, turned my head once, and then looked back over, without even realizing to look over to other people, just looking to my right to see if anyone was there, I didn't see anybody else in this cafeteria. It was just like 6 or 7 people. And then it hit me. Wait, the sword was vibrating? That's wicked. And it did it a few times there afterwards. In other instances, it would do other things to let me know what was going on in the area I was in. So yes, some things can carry an essence of the person who had it before. Some things can hold or be held as an entrapment for a spirit or a vessel for a spirit. Some can be made to hold one, meaning you would have to have the right mind and the right method in order to call a specific essence to come and take house into the specific vessel you have for it. And if they're willing, then so be it. If they're not, then it won't happen.
I've heard one of the famous sword makers, I think he's in China, he may be in Taiwan, who creates Chinese Jan swords. One of the things that some people do is when they die, they get themselves cremated and they send their ashes to him, and he'll forge their ashes in with the blade metal and make like a sword that essentially has your essence in it.
Oh my God!
Yeah, and
wow.
Apparently it's got quite a long waiting list, and a lot of people do this to create some type of family heirloom.
Interesting. Wow. Well, that's one way to, stick around. If that person don't become a ghost or spirit, then that's okay for the family. But I mean, an evil ghost or evil spirit, then that's okay for the family. If not, then good luck.
Yeah, you may be sort of planning down attachments that you don't want to. You sort of don't want to be there forever, right?
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. You don't want the remnants of evil things hanging around you because it's just an attraction for them. You know. So with that mantra I just gave everyone before, they can recite it. Um, if you go to a new house and you're like, maybe the house could be haunted or it could have some negative influence in there, you can go in and you can recite this mantra in a newly rented house or newly bought house in each room. And while you are reciting it, I would say to recite it 5 times. No specific mysterious reason for five. It just allows you to concentrate a little bit longer. And as you're reciting it in each room, just imagine that that recitation goes from your heart. Okay, it goes from your whole body, from centered in your heart to your whole body, and expands out, covering all windows, doors, any openings of the house, the whole entire ground around you, the whole entire space around the house, and the house itself, inside out, walls, inside out, floors, basement, and foundation. They do that into each room. And it may take you probably 40 minutes, maybe an hour, but it's worth it. But remember, when you have guests over, and you already just put the seal over the house, you put this protection over the house, and you have a guest over, if they have anything they don't realize is with them, come with them into your house. You had basically have a little visitor. Basically what happens is nothing can come in unwanted. So if you invite a guest over and they jump with the guest, then they come wanted wise. They come as a you've what's the word in English? Invited them in, you know, without even realizing it. So how do you fix that? Well, whenever you have guests, just light up a stick of incense and just walk around the house with the stick of incense, and just leave it burning.
I poked him in the eye with it.
You can poke him in the eye.
All right. Well, maybe I'll ask one more question. Pull one more line out of the bag here. What about psychic vampires? What are your thoughts on psychic vampires? I think we've touched on this a few times, but it probably is more fitting for this topic than some of the other ones you've discussed it on.
Wow, that's good. Psychic vampires. Interesting here. So, they are like, we'll call it psychic vampires people-wise. Then we'll get into the non-physical. People-wise, there will be those who are needy of your attention, needy of your emotional influence, needy of as much as possible they can get from you. So basically, anyone trying to, what's the word? Get you to follow them, get you to be with them all the times, and they are not happy when you say no, and they keep trying to reason with you to go along with their plans or go along with their ideas, try to get your attention. Basically, that's a big marker. You may want to just take a little step and recite that mantra, put it in your heart, you'll be okay. You know?
That's it?
Pretty much. I mean, I don't really need to go into all extreme specifics because it's really simple.
Okay. So
when it comes to the ghosts and everything, and spirits and everything, you do want to be careful because you can just feel like an emotional drain, physical drain. Your thoughts start to change, or you start to think more negatively than you do usually. You start to like to listen to more things that bring your emotions down or give you a negative outlook on life. These things can also take your energy away.
Okay. We should wrap it up here. Do you have any final thoughts or anything? I know you've given out a method, and that's a good place for people to start if they feel like they're having a problem.
Here's one for you.
Well, So basically, you just want to be able to recognize that all these types of things we call magic and black magic and all these spiritual things people want to put towards being evil and the aspects of evil, all those methods, they're neither bad or good. It's the person itself who uses them in that way. Okay? And I wouldn't suggest people to go and start playing with spirits, ghosts, or whatever. I would rather them not do that. So if you ever feel like you're a little down here and there, the method I gave you is an overall great method. Hopefully, you can sit in meditation with it daily for about 5-10 minutes. The more the merrier, and just reciting that mantra. And if you can recite that mantra every day, even you don't know what the hell it means, it's okay. It's wholesome. It's not going to hurt you. It's only going to make you feel better. It's going to influence people around you to feel better. You can use it on your water. You recite it in your mind when you have a cup of water 3 or 4 to 5 times, and then blow in it 3 times and drink your water. You can do it on your food, just in case you feel like there could be some stagnant energy or evil energies around you or in the food, or just because you want to eat some nice highly charged food. You can recite it over the food, blow it in the food, and you should be okay. You can do that in your house. You can do that while you're walking in the street, just reciting the mantra when you're walking in the street, and it'd be a good protection for you. If you want to go deeper into the whole entirety of this mantra, then you go to the Shurangama mantra, and you can read that.
You just
in your
actually
sitting
made me,
meditation.
you just actually made me think of one more thing I wanted to ask you when you're speaking.
Okay.
Water. Why is it that water has so many connotations in magic? Like there's holy water, right? Which in the Catholic faith, and then there's other traditions that say a witch can't cross over salt water, and of course, as we mentioned with the foos, some of the practices is to burn the talisman, put it in water, and then drink it. So, what's with water? What power does that carry?
Well, because when there's no other things to drink in the whole entire world, there's only water, and water is the overall nourisher of everything. Without water, there will be no life, physical life. Okay, and it's a perfect conductor of all types of energy, or types of, electricity. It conducts electricity, right? I mean, you put a live wire in water, and, poof, you got an instant barbecue. So water basically is a nourisher. And it's a good vessel for anything. You can put any intention you want in water and have an outcome you're looking for. A Japanese scientist already had proven this with sound when he would recite, I love you, I love you, I love you over the water, and then another cup of water or another thing of water would recite, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you, and after they froze up this water, they looked under a microscope and seen that the I love you water was all beautiful crystals, and the I hate you water was really disgusting. They did it with rock music as opposed to classical music, and the rock music had like cancer-causing structures in there. Isn't that amazing what happens with our mind? We do this with our voice, our mind, our emotions. They're all influencing us. So your body is made up of a lot of water. I mean, really, whenever you're thinking, whatever you say, okay, influences your body, and it does so with water. A lot of old ancient styles of healing realize that the water is a very, very important aspect. And whenever someone's sick, they really want to understand what's around them, what are they thinking, what their lifestyle is, and they kind of try to keep a balance of the water in the body. So basically, water is just that essential. It is the nourishment of all life. That's why it's such an important ingredient for almost any type of spell.
Yeah, I think even the Russian leadership used to have psychic. They used to have a psychic program, and they would get these people to basically charge up water with intentions, and then if I can't remember the leader at the time, like say Gorbachev became ill, then one of the protocols was for him to drink this psychically charged water. So.
Cool. So that's really interesting. I used to keep an extra cup of water in my bedroom when I was younger. It just keeps the room, it's like a good filter of the energy in the room. But you have Buddhists who have the Great Compassion water, where you would recite the Great Compassion mantra over a bottle of water and hand it out to people, and people would say, "Oh, this makes me, it heals my sicknesses." It's not actually that it heals your sicknesses; it's just the vibration of the water has a certain effect on the body, and it may offer some type of relief. Um, if you really utilize this type of cultivation, you will have really great responses, but you have to follow the rules in cultivation. So if you just sit there and go, I want to learn the Great Compassion Mantra and I'm going to recite it over water. Okay, the longer you recite it over the water, the better it is for you. It doesn't mean it's going to cure your cancer. I can't guarantee that because everyone's karmic condition is different. Some may get a total great efficacious response and their cancer is gone. Who knows? Or their sickness is gone, or their headache is gone, or whatever the hell is gone. But that's really dependent on their own karmic conditions, their own situation. It's not like a Western medicine that it's a treatment for every single person who has something similar to the condition. It doesn't work that way, you know? That's why I don't do this type of healing work on anybody, unless it's like extremely, well, if it's a friend of the family, or someone I know who's not trying to do things under the table to try to have me try to hurt me or something like that, then I'll do a little something without them knowing. But that's the I do it that way. Most times when I treat people with the tuina or acupressure, dian xue or dimmak, they call it dimmak now. So that doesn't mean death touch, it just means pressing the point, okay? Pressing points. So when I'm pressing points on people, sometimes I do a little energy work on them specifically and intentionally, but I'll never let them know because I don't want their discriminating mind to start getting involved. So anywho, that's the episode 1 of the 6 Demon Bags. Maybe next time we'll have a few episodes containing the same title.
Okay, yeah, it's a good
Be
idea.
pretty fun.
I think I've pulled enough out of the bag for one day anyway. Thrown enough.
Well,
at
I'll
it.
recite. Yeah, I'll recite the mantra just for everyone, so they don't have to try to go back into the recording and try to find the space I did it in. 吃20 Ojala Miliju Boli Danlaye Ningjeli. Okay, you can find that whole entire mantra in the Shurangama Sutra commentary with Master Xuanhua. I believe the pinyin is typed out for you in one of the volumes. I think between the 6th and 7th volume of the mantra is 8 volumes of the sutra. There's 8 volumes of the sutra. So if anyone wants it, they can get it there. You can email me at guizhenhui@yeah.net. And just in the subject section, just write 5 Hearts Mantra. And just tell me you want the whole entire Shurangama mantra, and I'll be glad to send you it. The more the merrier. The more who have this, the better the world will be.
All right, well, thanks again, Lynn, for joining us. And
Yummy.
thanks, everybody, for listening to Expedient Means of Lin Wei on Tom Radio. Please be sure to join us next week to quote the final chapter of the Tao Te Ching. And I'm going to change this up in the new year because this quote's getting a bit long in the tooth for me. I've read it about 50 times now. So, but not that I ever get tired of it, but just maybe your listeners may get tired of it. So the sage does not accumulate. The more he assists others, the more he possesses. The more he gives to others, the more he gains. Thanks, Len.